Ben was a very old man. He was 72 years old. For a very long time, Ben lived a life full of numbers. He worked as an actuary for 45 years. His job was to look at math all day. He looked at facts, risks, and charts. He was a very careful man. He liked things to be in order. He did not like surprises. He did not like to take risks. He lived in a quiet house with a gray roof. The house was always very clean. The furniture was always in the right place. There was no mess and no noise. To Ben, a good life was a safe life. He did not want any trouble. Every day for Ben was exactly the same. He woke up at 7 a.m., he made his bed, he drank 1 cup of hot tea, he ate 1 piece of toast, then he went for a walk. He walked the same path in his neighborhood every single day. He waved to his neighbors, he looked at the trees, he came home and read the news. He was a very safe man. He felt like his life was a long, straight road with no turns. He thought he knew exactly how his story would end. He thought he was too old for anything to change. Ben's son was named Elias. Elias was a good man and a hard worker. He loved Ben, but he worried about him a lot. Elias thought Ben was too old to do anything new. He thought Ben was weak and fragile. Every time Elias visited, he told Ben the same things. "Dad, don't walk too fast. Dad, don't lift that box. Dad, you should just sit down and rest." Ben began to believe his son. He started to feel like his life was almost over. He felt like a book that was on its very last page. But deep inside his heart, Ben was sad. He was sad because of a dream he had a long time ago. He felt like he had lost something important. He felt like he was missing a part of himself. When Ben was a young boy, he did not love numbers. He loved music. He played an instrument called the cello. A cello is a very large wooden instrument. It sits on the floor between your knees. It makes a deep, warm sound. Ben loved the way the cello felt against his chest. When he played, the whole world felt bright. He felt like he could fly. But Ben's father was a very strict man. His father did not like music. His father told him, "Music is for kids. It is a hobby. It is not a job. You need to work with math to make money. You need to be a serious man." Ben wanted to be a good son. He wanted his father to be proud of him. So Ben did a very sad thing. He stopped playing music. He put his cello in a big black case. He carried it up the stairs to the dark attic. He put it in a corner and covered it with an old cloth. He said goodbye to his dream. He spent the next 50 years looking at numbers instead of notes. He got married, he worked hard, and he grew old. But he never forgot the sound of the cello. Even when he was working at his desk, he could hear the music in his head. One Saturday morning, it was raining very hard. Ben went up to his attic to find some old bank papers. The attic was dark. It smelled like dust and old memories. Ben pushed aside some heavy boxes. He saw something in the corner. It was a tall shape under a dirty white cloth. Ben's heart began to beat fast. He reached out and pulled the cloth away. A cloud of dust flew into the air. There it was, his old cello. It had been sitting in the dark for a long, long time. Ben sat down on a dusty wooden chair. He opened the case. The cello was still there. Its wood was a beautiful dark red color. It looked very lonely. It looked like it had been waiting for him for 50 years. Ben touched the strings with his finger. They were cold and stiff. When he pulled a string, it made a dry, scratching noise. Ben felt a big pain in his chest. He thought about all the years he had wasted. He thought about the 50 years he spent in an office. He felt like a man who had missed the bus. He felt like it was way too late to start again. He looked at his hands. They were shaky. His knuckles were big and old. He thought, "I am 72. I cannot learn this now. It is too late for me." He started to close the case. "Grandpa, what is that?" Ben jumped. He turned around. It was his granddaughter, Mia. She was 9 years old. She was wearing a bright yellow shirt. She had big, curious eyes. She was full of energy and life. "It is a cello, Mia," Ben said softly, "but it is just a piece of wood now. I am too old to play it. My time has passed a long time ago. I am an old man now, and music is for the young." Mia walked over. She touched the smooth wood of the cello. She looked at Ben. "Grandpa, are you still alive?" she asked. Ben was surprised. "Yes, Mia, I am still here." "Then the window is not closed," Mia said. "My teacher says you only lose if you stop trying. If you can still breathe, you can still play. Why don't you try? What are you afraid of?" Ben could not sleep that night. He lay in bed and looked at the ceiling. He thought about what Mia said. He looked at the clock. It was midnight. He thought about his life. If he lived to be 80, he had 8 years left. He could spend those 8 years sitting in his chair and waiting for the end, or he could spend them playing music. He realized that being safe had made him very bored. He wanted to feel something again. He wanted to be happy. He decided to try. He decided to be brave. The next week, Ben did something very new. He took his cello to a music school. The school was called the Harmony Hub. It was a noisy place. It was full of little kids. There were little boys with violins and girls with flutes. Ben felt very silly. He was the only person in the building with white hair. He felt like an old tree in a garden full of flowers. He almost turned around to go home. He was afraid people would laugh at him. He was afraid they would think he was a crazy old man. But then he met a teacher named Clara. Clara was very young. She had tattoos of music notes on her arms. She had a very kind smile. Ben told her, "I am 72. My hands are slow and my back hurts. I think I am a fool for being here. I am far too late to learn." Clara shook her head. "Ben, the kids are fast, but they don't have stories. You have lived a long life. You have seen love and loss. You can put those feelings into the music. The music has been waiting for you for 50 years. It doesn't care that you are late. It just cares that you are here today. It is better late than never." Ben began to take lessons every Tuesday. It was very, very hard. In the beginning, the music sounded terrible. It sounded like a loud, squeaky door. His fingers felt stiff like frozen wood. His back was very tired after only 10 minutes. He had to practice every single day in his living room. He sat in front of a mirror and tried to hold the bow correctly. Sometimes his fingers bled. Sometimes he wanted to cry because it was so difficult. He felt like he was failing. One afternoon, his son Elias came to visit. Elias saw Ben practicing. He saw the cello and the music books on the floor. Elias looked very worried. "Dad, why are you doing this?" Elias asked. "You are 72. This is too much stress for your body. You should just garden or watch the news. You missed your chance 40 years ago. Why try now? Just be comfortable. You are too old to be a student." Elias thought he was being a good son, but his words hurt Ben. They made Ben feel like he was wasting his time. That night, Ben almost quit. He put the cello back in its case. He sat in the dark and felt like an old fool. He thought, maybe Elias is right. Maybe I am too old to change. Maybe I should just wait for the end. But then he remembered Mia's face. He remembered the feeling of the music in his chest. He realized that he didn't want to be comfortable. He wanted to be happy. He realized that comfort was just another word for giving up. He stood up, took the cello out again, and played one clear, strong note. He decided he would not stop. He decided he would keep trying until he could play a real song. Ben practiced for many months. He practiced when it was sunny. He practiced when it was snowing. He stopped worrying about being perfect. He stopped worrying about what the neighbors thought. He just wanted to hear the sound. Slowly, his fingers became stronger. His muscles remembered the movements. The music began to sound smooth and sweet. He began to feel a joy he had not felt since he was a boy. The music helped him remember his late wife, Elena. It helped him feel like he was part of the world again. He was no longer just a man waiting, he was a man doing. One day, he played a song called The Swan for Clara. He closed his eyes. He didn't think about his shaky hands. He didn't think about his age. He just played from his heart. He played all his sadness and all his happiness into the strings. When the song ended, the room was very quiet. Clara had a tear in her eye. "That was beautiful, Ben," she said. "You are finally telling your story. You are a musician." Ben decided to have a small concert in his backyard. He invited his neighbors, Clara, and his family. It was a beautiful spring evening. The sun was going down, and the sky was orange and pink. The air was warm. Ben sat in a wooden chair with his cello. He saw Elias in the front row. Elias looked like he was waiting for Ben to fail, but next to him, Mia was sitting with a big, proud smile. Ben began to play. He played The Swan. His hands were not as fast as a young man's, but the music was very deep and very powerful. It was the sound of a man who had finally found his way home. It was a song of hope. It was a song that said, "I am still here. I am still important." Everyone in the garden was very quiet. They could feel the music in their hearts. Elias watched his father. He was shocked. He didn't see an old, weak man. He saw a man who was strong, happy, and full of life. Elias realized that he had been wrong to hold his father back. He realized that passion has no age. He felt proud of his father for the first time in a long time. When Ben finished the song, the backyard was silent for a moment. Then everyone stood up. They clapped and they cheered. Elias stood up too. He had tears in his eyes. He walked up to Ben and gave him a big hug. "I am so sorry, Dad," Elias whispered. "I was wrong. That was the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. You are amazing. It really is never too late." Mia ran up and hugged Ben's legs. "I told you, Grandpa, the window was just stuck. You opened it. You did it." That night, Ben felt very peaceful. He was tired, but his heart was full. He went to his desk and took out a clean notebook. He didn't write down numbers or bank facts. He made a list of all the things he wanted to do. He wanted to learn to cook a big meal for his family. He wanted to paint a picture of the ocean. He wanted to teach Mia how to play the cello every Saturday morning. At the very top of the page, in bold, beautiful handwriting, he wrote the title of his new life, "Better Late Than Never." Ben knew he could not change the 50 years he had lost. He knew he was an old man, but he also knew that today was a new day. He knew that as long as he was still breathing, he could still grow and learn. He was 72 years old, and his real life was just beginning. He picked up his bow and smiled. He was finally happy. It was never too late to be yourself.